Tonight on KGW News, bracing for wind, snow, and ice.
The best thing to do is let the people go home, let ODOT do their thing.
When the storm will move in and how long the cold could last. Plus, less than a week after a hole opened up in a Boeing jet mid-flight, passengers lawyer up.
They need to own up to it. They need to look it straight in the eye, and they need to stop it.
And later, the local canine cop and his handler in the TikTok spotlight.
That's bananas to me. That's still just, it blows my mind.
How they're turning snack breaks into stardom. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko, and we begin tonight with a live look over downtown Portland. Only rain right now, but by this time tomorrow, that could easily change with snow and ice followed by a lingering cold, all looking more and more likely over the next few days. And ahead of the winter storm's arrival, most schools in the area are planning to let students out early on Friday. That includes Portland Public, Beaverton, and Vancouver. We'll have the full list of closures and early outs running at the bottom of your screen in red right there and on KGW.com. So let us kick things off tonight with Chief Meteorologist Matt Zaffino, as usual, and the timing of the storm. So, Matt, what is the latest?
Well, there's been some interesting changes in how this is all probably going to go down. We're still going to get very, very cold. We're still probably going to get some snow, but some subtle changes and not so subtle changes, too, which I'll show you in just a sec. First of all, moisture from the Pacific will be rolling in. That's one ingredient you need for snow in Portland. The other is really cold air. And boy, is it ever cold up in Canada right now. Look, it's minus 35 in Edmonton, minus 26 in Calgary, minus 6 in Kamloops. It's already down in the teens in Walla Walla and Spokane. And that cold air is going south and then west through the Columbia Basin and the Columbia River Gorge into the Willamette Valley. This is Timberline right now. Very snowy, 19 degrees. There will be dangerous wind chills on Mount Hood this weekend. I'll talk about that in a second. In fact, we got a winter storm watch continuing here. Winter storm warning on the east side, and then some more unusual watches and warnings for the northwest. We have an avalanche warning in the mountains of northeast Oregon and wind chill warnings already across Spokane, and a wind chill watch on the east side of the Oregon Cascades, because that is a big concern. Here's the change on the precipitation and the timing of all this. Tomorrow night, about 6 o'clock, we're cloudy, and you can see the strong east winds. This is the wind chill forecast, down to 9, okay, in Portland. Look, it gets below 0 on Saturday, 14 below up in the mountains there, as low as 25 below in the mountains, and minus 9 in Portland. So again, wind chill be the real deal. Now, as far as the snow goes, this is tomorrow at 1 o'clock when we drop below freezing. A little bit of snow down around Salem and rain south of that, but really no snow in the Portland area at that time as this Arctic air pushes in, and it stays away. This is Friday at 11 o'clock. We may still be dry tomorrow night at this time, but it will be cold. Temperatures in the teens and those strong east winds. Then, as we go into Saturday, we're still expecting snow. It looks like snow and then some sleet or freezing rain. I think for Portland, probably sleet for a short period of time. Then it goes to all snow around midday, and we pick up some significant accumulations during the day on Saturday before it finally begins to move out Saturday night, and the cold air remains all the same. So again, some interesting tweaks. We knew there'd be some variations and fluctuations in the forecast as we get closer to it. But the cold air still should arrive around midday. Will drop below freezing. Light snow Friday night, a trace probably most likely, maybe as much as 2 inches, but then heavier snow up to 6 inches on Saturday. Blizzard conditions in the gorge, and of course those dangerous wind chills. David?
Yeah, a lot to watch. We appreciate you tracking it all for us. Thank you, Matt. By the way, we already have a traffic alert and a closed highway in the Cascades. This is US 26 from the intersection with State Route 35 near Mount Hood. We're about 30 miles to Warm Springs. ODOT says it's because of high winds that downed trees and caused multiple crashes. Officials advise to delay your travel if at all possible. And team coverage now continues this evening with Alma McCarty live in Southwest Portland. Alma, you've been talking to state and local transportation officials to see if they're prepared and staffed to keep our roads as clear as possible. What are you learning?
Well, David, as you can see behind me, the roads are very clear right now in the city of Portland, but a lot could change within the next 48 hours. Now, crews have not applied magnesium chloride, which is de-icer, to the roads because of all the rain we've been seeing, but they tell me they're confident they can handle this storm. The wintry conditions seen briefly Tuesday night in the West Hills will return over the holiday weekend.
The street right up here going up and the street coming down, jam-packed full of cars.
Randy Sutton, who works off of Highway 26, hopes this storm won't have the same drastic impacts as last year's record snowfall.
If you go out here, the overpass, as far as the eye could see, you can cars just stuck on the freeway.
Transportation officials like PBOT's Dylan Rivera assuring him and other drivers they're ready to go. 12-hour shifts for hundreds of employees beginning Friday.
Confident that a full call out of our staff Friday morning is warranted given the forecast that we've seen.
PBOT's interactive map, the Winter Weather Center, will give Portlanders a real-time look at the number of snowplows currently in service.
Helps them understand that, yes, we're out there in these harsh conditions, making the streets passable for everyone.
ODOT also on standby.
We've got the salt trucks, we got the de-icer, we got the sanders, and we got the plows ready to go and to respond as needed out there.
Spokesperson Don Hamilton says they'll continue to work through the entirety of the event, expecting tricky conditions across the Willamette Valley and the Coast Range.
If we learned anything last year is to make sure that we don't stop until the snow and the ice stops also, because things keep coming out of the sky and sometimes they don't stop. We don't stop until that stops.
On the other side of the Columbia, WashDOT says they're at 100% staffing levels, prepared to take on any kind of precipitation.
Travelers might experience any combination of rain, ice, snow, slush, or serious accumulation beginning Friday afternoon well into Saturday. So in terms of preparation, that means our crews are ready.
As for Randy, although he grew up in Iowa and has driven through his fair share of icy conditions,
And I can do this in a Volkswagen with ball tires. I don't suggest it.
even he's staying off the roads.
unless you want to end up in a ditch somewhere or run something over that just stay home.
Now, although ODOT is not at full staffing at this time, Hamilton says thanks to some funding from the governor and from lawmakers, they are able to provide their workers overtime in a situation like this. He says they do have the crews and the supplies to get the job done. As for WashDOT and for PBOT, they are at full staffing. David?
I am sensing a lot of enthusiasm and lessons learned. We will see how this plays out. Thanks so much, Alma. Meanwhile, TriMet is encouraging people who must travel during the storm to take public transit. They say their drivers are trained to drive through the snow and ice. Buses, for example, are equipped with drop-down chains, or more heavy-duty chains can be installed when necessary. Still, officials say check out trimet.org/alerts before you leave and be prepared for potential delays across the entire system. We'll stick with KGW and KGW.com throughout the next few days as snow, ice, rain, and wind, a good old blast of winter, make their way through our area. For the latest forecast anytime, be sure to download the KGW app. New tonight, passengers on board Alaska 1282 have filed a class action lawsuit against Boeing. Catherine Cook is in the newsroom with those details. Catherine?
David, the lawsuit names 6 passengers and a family member as plaintiffs in the case. Their attorney described what they experienced as a, quote, waking nightmare after a door plug flew off, leaving a gaping hole in the plane.
One of our clients said she didn't even know if the cockpit crew was alive. And these are the kinds of thoughts that were going through people's heads.
That's Seattle-based attorney Daniel Lawrence. He expects more plaintiffs will join the lawsuit in the coming days. The plane took off from Portland last Friday, and 5 minutes later, investigators say the Boeing 737 MAX 9's door plug flew off. The lawsuit claims Boeing delivered the plane to Alaska Airlines without properly securing the plug to the airframe or properly securing the bolts or seals. Plaintiffs described physical and emotional injuries, and some said they believe they would not survive the flight. The lawsuit says some prayed, some texted family, some gripped and clung to one another, and some adult passengers were crying. On Tuesday, Boeing CEO Dave Calhoun said the issue was, quote, our mistake, but today the company declined to comment on the class action lawsuit.
Finally, Boeing is waking up to the fact that whatever it's been doing lately, whether it's respect to the MAX or their production methods or lack of quality control, they need to own up to it. They need to look it straight in the eye, and they need to stop it.
The lawsuit states damages will be decided at trial. Up next, the court will consider whether the case will be handled as a class or not. David.
Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate that update. Meanwhile, the FAA is now investigating if Boeing failed to make sure the door plug panel was properly designed and safe to use. It sent a letter to Boeing laying out concerns and noted what it called, quote, additional discrepancies on MAX 9s. Now, both Alaska and United have found loose hardware on other door plugs on grounded jets. And here's what the Transportation Secretary said when asked if he is concerned about Boeing.
What I'll say is that every plane that they deliver to an airline, every plane that goes into the skies needs to be 100% safe, and they need to be able to demonstrate that.
And the FAA is giving Boeing 10 days to respond with more information about the door plugs. You're watching KGW News, and still ahead at 11, a contract deadline looms for Providence and Regents. The cost it could have on thousands of Oregonians if a deal isn't reached next week. Plus, from donuts to noodles, the local law enforcement pair is racking up millions of views, showing off their special bond over snacks. But before we go to break this week, we're measuring in feet. Your ski report.